When our guest tonight, Congressman Mike Gallagher, arrived on Capitol Hill 2 years ago, he was surprised to learn it wasn't as bad as he feared. It was even worse. For tonight's positive and practical segment, he's got some ideas on how to salvage the legislative branch of our government. Over to you. What's your plan?
My plan. Well, thank you. So we to connect to what we were talking about before, we talked about how it's tempting to allow the executive branch to do everything, but ultimately what that reflects is how diminished the institution has gotten. But what is less understood is how power within the institution has gone from the committees and the individual members and become tightly concentrated at the top. So that means if you're an idealistic new member and you want to get stuff done, you have to play the game in order to advance. And oftentimes that means good legislation never goes anywhere, or we govern from crisis to crisis. So I tried to think about what are the simplest things you could do to fix that. Fixes that would not require a change of a law. It would be nonpartisan. And so I came to realize that there are three things that are just a starting point for reforming the institution. The first, and I think the simplest, would be merely to change the congressional calendar. Keep us in session until we actually do our job, rather than flying in on a Tuesday night, flying out on a Thursday night, flying to Hawaii during a shutdown. Actually change the congressional calendar to work 3 weeks on, 1 week off. Get people in D.C. to actually work together and get some stuff done. The second thing is to actually devolve power from the top back down to the committees and the members by requiring committee chairs to be elected by the committee members rather than chosen by leadership. And the third thing would be to streamline the actual jurisdiction of the committees so it makes more sense, so that jurisdiction over healthcare, for example, isn't, subject to this Game of Thrones process where different committees are competing for jurisdiction, and thus no one has actual responsibility for anything. So those are the simplest things I can do. I don't think that would fix everything. I think that's a starting point. I favor more ambitious things like term limits. We've talked in the past about some campaign finance reforms, but there's a lot of criticism I've gotten for this, but I just would say to the critics who don't offer an alternative, they're quite literally insane in defending the status quo, because the status quo involves doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Why do they? Okay, so there's a couple of things that I just want to make sure that it's very interesting that you're focused on the committees. I think that's not widely understood. That actually, when we're talking about Congress, and the laws and the regulation, it's these committees that are so powerful. And by the way, that's where a lot of the corruption comes in, because we talk about it in Swamp Watch the whole time. That's where you've got the special interests and the companies that are regulated. They can give money to the people on the committees and the staff members who service those committees. They go and work and the lobbying. That's the committees. It's all about the committees. Right. So what's the objection? What from the critics? What don't they like about it? It sounds so sensible.
I think there's a lot of people in D.C. who object to the idea of having to work harder and actually spend time in D.C.
Is it too sensible?
But you can see that there's a lot of people that have spent time playing the game this way. They've sort of gotten themselves into a position where any change would result in surrendering some power. But my argument is that what I'm actually trying to do is to make the work of every member of the committee more meaningful, and by extension to make every member of the committee more powerful, to create a sense of buy-in where people are channeling their ambition not into raising money, not into becoming a social media superstar, but rather to becoming an effective legislator, to doing oversight of the executive branch and to actually deliberating with an eye towards solving problems.
So I think that what I really love about this, I mean, we do it every positive and practical, because it's not about some grand the legislative thing. The Democrats, they introduced this bill on taking the House, didn't they, with this sort of enormous, I think it's 600 pages of changes that we're going to clean up Congress, and but it basically sounds like it's just kind of it's like a press release. There's no intention of any of it, no prospect of any of it happening.
Well, and I guarantee you that they don't follow through on any of the commitments or promises that are made either. But I think the biggest challenge is getting people to want to give up power in Washington, D.C., particularly members of Congress. But look, I worked on Capitol Hill. There's such a game that is played in the sense of cozying up to leadership. It's all about money. It's going out, raising a ton of money, giving that money to the NRCC, and cozying up to leadership. And that's how the game is played. And so I've worked for members of Congress that have been on the opposite side of leadership. And it's tough, because if you take votes they don't like, they come down on you. They try to make your life a little bit more difficult. And in more extreme examples, not necessarily members that I've worked for, but you hear about where they sort of shun you out and push you out, and they don't really want to come to your defense when you're running for Congress, give you the money that you need if you're facing a tough challenger. So it really is all about control, and so you're asking people who want that control to give it up, and that's where I think the biggest challenge is, personally.
And Tess, so much of it seems to come down to money as well. That was why Bernie's theme on the the financing of politics struck a chord.
Absolutely. I mean, it absolutely comes down to money. That's why Nancy Pelosi, was elected again, for her ability to be able to raise money, not because she's the most motivating, person of the Democrat Party, or not because, that's what the direction that people want to go in, but simply because she can raise money. And I love those ideas, and I'm a big proponent on term limits. I think people are in for entirely too long, and when they do get in, the moment you get in, you start fundraising again. Look at a lot of the freshmen who have already come in and flipped. Alexandria Cortez, who said, "Oh no, I'm not going against Pelosi," and then the minute that they settled down and said, "Oh yeah, you will be going with Pelosi," she was with Pelosi. So it's just unfortunate that freshmen, like, I love the article that he wrote about, coming in with great ideas, but just not really being able to advance that once you get in and figure out how
you've got to play the game. That's why it's really great. I wish. I mean, are you getting anywhere with it? We don't have too much time.
Well, I will say I did offer my second proposal. The changing the way committee chairs are elected in our caucus, and I lost the vote about 150 to 40. So I have a long way to go.
That's better than I thought you were going to say.
That's not bad. Start, right? Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Look at the glass half full, right?
We're here to support you and give you.
He's a Marine, so if anybody can do it, he can do it. He's a former Marine.
Yeah, exactly.
If I get some air cover from the airport.
Teslin endorses it.
Yeah.
I think, if we can just get this spirit going, we'll fix it all. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to see you. All right.